Nigeria records major growth in non-oil exports in the first quarter of 2025.
Nigerian army to combat security challenges threatening peace and unity of the country.
Nigeria sets to cultivate world-class pharmaceutical manufacturing workforce.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall examine emerging party politics.
All right, since there is virtually no ideology in Nigeria political parties. Defection is, well, or should I say, has become our culture. And of course, it's allowed to some extent because it is rooted in freedom of association.
Well, absolutely clear. You know, the Nigerian constitution appears to frown at carpet crossing, of lawmakers, but loopholes in the law and other factors allow for such to continue.
Well, the rate of defection in Nigeria, not that it's new, but the recent one calls for the examination of the provision relating to the effect and consequences of cross-carpeting.
And the political atmosphere has become a sort of tense, and it follows the defection of the Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori from the PDP to the governing All Progressives Congress, alongside his predecessor and indeed all other stalwarts at all levels in the state. Remember that the Akwa Ibom State Governor recently also declared support for President Bola Tinubu's election in 2027, when both are from different political parties.
Absolutely, so much is happening within the political eco space, Victor. But this political development again has drawn, some reactions. Some of course are negative critiques. Some are positive, and then of course we have absolute condemnation from different political analysts. While the presidency itself has, expressed its own opinion, dismissing insinuations that this administration is driving towards what they call authoritarianism.
Well, the presidency, interestingly, is also questioning the double standards, wondering why the defection of some members of the APC, such as former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai to the SDP, should be celebrated, while the defection of the Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori should be condemned. Well, on that note, let me welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. I am Victor Azu.
And I'm Claire Dilabu Abdurazak. I thank you for joining us this morning. And we're reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. We'll be joined shortly by Tessie Mary for highlights of the morning news. And much later, Chukwudi Okodigbaja will be joining us for the newspaper review. All right, so let's bring in Tessie for the news. Tessie, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Claire. Hello, Victor. And good morning, Nigerians. Here is the morning news. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, is rallying for unity among Global South nations as lawmakers from Africa, the Arab world, Latin America and the Caribbean converges on Rabat, Morocco for the third South-South Parliamentary Dialogue. Akpabio emphasizes an urgent need for collective action to address pressing economic, political and climate challenges, stressing action over rhetoric and unity over isolation, which he notes is crucial for developing nations to secure a seat at the global table. Chairman of the forum, Mohamed Erachet, who is also the Speaker of Morocco's House of Councillors, highlights the bonds between nations and praises the forum's vision of leveraging South-South dialogue to achieve peace, security, stability and common prosperity. On the economy, Nigeria's non-oil export sector
locked ever at our borders.
And on the economy, Nigeria's non-oil export sector recorded strong growth in the first quarter of 2025, with total exports rising to 2.416 million metric tons. This marks a substantial 243.44% increase compared to the 1.937 million metric tons exported in the same period in 2024. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council described the development as a positive sign of the country's efforts to diversify the economy and reduce dependence on oil revenues.
Of the potentials and opportunities inherent in this sector.
The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, says Nigeria is set to cultivate a world-class pharmaceutical manufacturing workforce as the federal government's innovative leadership is advancing 22 new large-scale health sector manufacturing projects funded by $5.5 billion in private sector capital against the backdrop of Nigeria recently securing €1 billion from the European Investment Bank and an additional $1 billion from Afrexim Bank to intensify health value chain localization. The country has now signed an agreement with Empower School of Health, Geneva, to see the establishment of Africa's foremost pharmaceutical manufacturing training institute, Empower Academy, Nigeria. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Olatubosun Oluyede, has reaffirmed that the Nigerian Army will continue to effectively mitigate the security challenges that have tried to fail to threaten the resolve, peace and unity of Nigeria. He was speaking at the opening ceremony of the Combat Arms Training Week 2025, co-hosted by the Nigerian Army Infantry and Armored Corps in Abuja, in Bauchi, rather.
Of our troops. This will be done by infusing the necessary capabilities into our training schedules to better prepare troops to adapt to fluid situations and place us in a more favorable position.
A two-day capacity building workshop on anti-corruption laws for criminal justice stakeholders is underway in Abuja. The meeting is yet another platform for brainstorming on ways to curb corruption in Nigeria.
If a case is well investigated and you have a good prosecutor who knows his onions, you will always get good outcomes, notwithstanding whatever the courts can do.
It's not just enough for the law to be there. What is the understanding of those who are implementing the law?
And those are the news highlights. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Claire and Victor after these messages. Good morning.
I am Oluremi Tinubu, the global and national Stop TB champion. Many people have asked why I've chosen to champion the fight against a disease like tuberculosis. My reason stems from a deep personal experience. I once had a friend who unfortunately fell ill and concealed the nature of his sickness until it was too late. Eventually, after he passed, we discovered he had tuberculosis. Sadly, due to the stigma and discrimination surrounding the disease, he would not speak up or seek for help. His death was a painful reminder that we could have intervened and saved a life if only we had known earlier. Tuberculosis is an airborne disease that primarily affects the lungs, but can also impact other parts of the body. Being airborne means anyone, regardless of their social economic status, can contract it. In Nigeria, one person dies of TB-related illness every 7 minutes, amounting to 206 deaths every day. Globally, one person succumbs to TB every 25 seconds, which is a staggering 3,456 lives lost daily. These deaths are entirely preventable because TB is curable if detected and treated early. If you or someone you know has been coughing for 2 weeks or more, coughing up blood, experiencing night sweats, or losing weight drastically, it might be TB. Please visit the nearest government hospital or primary healthcare center for proper diagnosis and treatment. TB treatment is free in all government and some private health facilities. Let us also remember not to stigmatize or discriminate against TB patients or those who have been treated for TB. Individuals who have been cured of TB cannot infect others. I call on all stakeholders, especially the private sector, to join us in the fight to end TB in Nigeria. Together, we can make a difference. Remember, TB anywhere is TB everywhere. End TB by 2030. Yes, we can.
The future belongs to the dreamers, to the doers, to those who are not afraid of the side hustle. It's for those who are ready to turn their passion into something big. And to help keep you revitalized and inspired, Top Tea is with you every step of the way. You are made for more. Find your inspiration. Top Tea, big round bags of flavor.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita, prepare them to win every day.
In today's fast-paced world, staying ahead demands peak performance from our bodies.
Like never before, our bodies need an optimum supply of essential nutrients, and Supermalt supports our daily nutritional needs.
Supermalt has 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and natural extracts for overall health and wellness. One Supermalt a day gives you energy and vitality, improves your mental performance, and supports your immunity.
Introducing the new Jig Sachet. Whitening your whites has never been more affordable. Now you can keep whites shining brighter and disinfect by killing 99.9% of germs on your floors and other surfaces. Just jig it with Jig Sachet.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving, it powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
Thank you so very much for staying with us. This is still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Let's take you to the newspaper review now.
Time to welcome Chukwudokolu Waja to Good morning, Nigeria, and for the newspaper review. Chukwudi, good morning.
Morning, Claire.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
Very well.
Good to see you.
Yes.
I like your attire.
Actually,
yeah.
I had to come in this dress. It's not new.
It's not new?
No,
I'm seeing it for the first time.
On Sunday, one of us, I gave out her daughter, Mina Daniels. Unfortunately, I couldn't go for some reasons. So this one, I decided to honor Mina Daniels by coming in this the attire of a wedding dress. So Mina, this is for you.
Oh, that's a good one. She's one of us. I like the fading. Yes. I like that.
You look good in it, by the way.
Well, thank you. I mean,
I was just wondering if you would have done better with a hat.
It's always, you see, he took it from my lips. I wanted to tell you, it's always a grudging appreciation or commendation.
She looks cowboy.
You're fine, but my people say once a button don't enter, something does more.
Because I'm not used to tying the.
You see?
I'm not used to tying the ashoke, the big one.
Yeah.
And this is the one that complements the
green.
green.
The details. The ladies' clothes.
Exactly. So I had to find a way to be creative with it. So Mina, congratulations. I'm sorry I couldn't attend, but this is for you and for the couple. Victor, let's get on.
All right. I have the blueprint to begin with here, and the major story reads, Tinubu to Uborewori Okowa, welcome to APC, not as defectors, but architects of better Nigeria. And it has two riders. Deltans want to get connected to Abuja, show Tinubu love. That's credited to Governor Uborewori, and Governor Otu links defection to APC-led government's performance. All right? Just above the nameplate, Nigeria's judiciary will uphold principle of fairness, inclusivity. That's according to the CJN, and you can get details on page 6. And to other stories in there, 2027, INEC 6 voting rights for inmates, Nigerians in diaspora. Early voting for security operatives, others on election duty too. I bet that will include journalists too. All right, let's leave that. Let's leave those for the blueprint, and off we go to the Daily Times. And the Daily Times leads also with, "You are co-owners of APC, not guests." VP Shatima tells Uborewori Okowa, others. That story is on page 2, just above the nameplate. Suspected CBEX promoter surrenders to EFCC for investigation. You get details on page 2. And Pro-Wike group demands probe of shooting incident at rally. That's on page 11. And then just one more at the bottom of the Daily Times. Late Osinachi's husband, Nwachukwu, to die by hanging, court orders. And that story is on page 8. Claire.
Okay, let's turn to Daily Trust. And Daily Trust is also leading with a political story. It says, we can win without governors, El-Rufai. We can win without governors, El-Rufai. A little below the nameplate, NEC Delta Caretaker Committee top agenda as PDP NWC meets today. And Tinubu is isolated, Baba Ahmed, just also trending just below the nameplate. Electricity-related incidents kill 112 in 2024. And just below the picture story, how local government election exposed rift between Niger governor and deputy. And there are also other stories. Osinachi's husband sentenced to death by hanging. Residents flee as Boko Haram intensifies attacks on Adamawa villages. And in Benue, cult violence claims 20 lives in 6 months. That's from the Daily Trust. And we move on to the Leadership newspaper now. And Leadership is leading with Tinubu APC firm grip on inherited PDP structure. Details of that on page 4. It comes with a number of riders. Poverty worsened under you in Anambra, Sanwo-Olu blast Obi. Again, other stories, of course, we have read, except gunmen kill 10 at Benue drinking joint. Adopt full CBT by 2026. FG directs WAEC and NECO. 37 blind candidates sit for JAM in Bauchi, and INEC asks NAS to expedite action on legal framework. Okay, let's return to Chukwudi Okodugwaja now.
Sordid story there again. Gunmen kill 10 at Benue drinking joint. That's not a good story. As we would always say about Benue, about Plateau, about Zamfara, about Borno. Let us do more to save the souls of our brothers and sisters, or to save their lives rather. Saving of souls lies with the Lord or Allah. We can win without governors, politicians. Okay, but I think it's going to be a rough ride for the El Rufai camp. They need to do a lot of work. Let me quickly take this before I go to the politicians. Osinachi's husband to die by hanging. You don't certify death gleefully. So I'm going to say what a pity, because if eventually he's executed, it's going to be one less, of humanity. But if we remember the circumstances of the woman's death, I mean, that woman, there's a particular song, I've forgotten it. It empowers you when you sing it.
It's the Ekweme.
Ekweme. That's it. That's Ekweme. It makes you feel God is in the room. What a waste of life. It's unfortunate. I hear that two of his children actually testified against him. Yes.
But it's now a question of Nigeria. The
orphans.
No, talking about the death penalty. We've not been implementing death
It's hardly, that's why I said if he is executed. They have tacitly been keeping them in death row. Nobody rushes out to kill anymore. Which is actually humanist. Killing people is not really the answer, In all of
those, Chukwudi, our hearts should go to the children.
Still.
Who will now be orphaned. And that, again, it's another burden.
It is a burden.
Yes, not just for the immediate family.
It is a burden.
Extended family, also for the nation. And I don't know.
I think talking about being orphaned, we should go beyond the word or the dictionary meaning of orphans. Because for the children to testify against their father, it probably means that he wasn't present in the right way in the first place.
Orphan. Victor, that doesn't change.
That's why I said
we should look
beyond the dictionary meaning.
Extended meaning.
No, whatever it means.
It's really
whatever it means, those children will not have a father, will not have a mother.
Yes.
No father figure, no mother figure.
It's not the best story in town.
At all. It's not.
It's not the best story in town. It's unfortunate,
yes.
But the law had to take its course. That is the way it goes. There's one on how many people? 112 people.
Yes. Killed by electric.
Electric whatever.
Yes.
When I was in NEPA, I remember my gleeful days as a clerical officer at Sapler Road, Benin City. When I was the DO's clerk, Martin Obi was great. He was an Ogorode power station trained engineer. Nsu. That's short for Nsuara. When are you restoring the 132 kV line to Otukbo? Look, I've worked with people who knew Nigeria. The light would not blink then. But let's go to the real test of it. 112 is rather on the high side.
I think
it's rather on the high side. Yeah. I remember when one of the NEPA then, Kenneth Hortune, was electrocuted. It shook our office. They were very, very careful in those days. I hope they still are very careful about what electricity could do to life negatively. It is very important that you build safety measures into your work.
The leadership is saying that DISCOs must be accountable for those deaths
Yes.
in 2024.
It's actually CJN.
And this is coming from the CJN.
Exactly. It helps you reduce recklessness. It helps you enhance carefulness.
That's accountability.
And it helps you preserve life. When it is life, you put every other thing aside to preserve it. Forget all the killings you get to hear about in Nigeria. The other time I said, hey, let it not be we are suffering from spiritual problems because too much blood has flowed. You must preserve life.
We must also ask what is the basis, because some of those deaths might be those who probably may be tampering, you know, with
some of them could actually be people pilfering, trying to pilfer energy, electricity.
Yes, so that's why we must look at the context.
We are talking about the deserving people.
Yes, that the CJN is speaking. We must contextualize.
You need to explain each death.
Exactly.
Then we know those who are deserving of compensation, those whom we could have saved if we were more careful. Because a man who climbs a pole to pilfer electricity, I mean, what is he carry? You understand? You know, it's really unfortunate. Now, quickly to the defections. I'm from Delta State, so
congratulations. Your state is now united.
Congratulations that my governor defected with the entire...
Yes,
I asked
your
yesterday,
state is now united.
Did he ask us the people? Because a journalist would always ask you that. How many of us did you consult? But it is their right. The Constitution really is not very loud on what happens when a governor wants to defect. It's the lawmakers that the relevant section actually treats their matter.
The governor will tell you he consulted with those that matter, the politicians, the stakeholders of the PDP.
Nigerian politicians would always consult.
Anyway, you know that's part of our conversation this morning, so I don't think we should even overflow. But let's look at what's happening in JAMB. You know, we're having more, you know, physically challenged, you know, candidates, and this paper. Leadership says about 37 blind candidates will be sitting for JAMB in Bauchi, and I think we must applaud, you know, is he immediate past JAMB registrar, or he's still the registrar?
I'm not aware he's left.
So okay, Loide. Okay, we must.
That wonderful man.
Yes, we must applaud the, you know, digitization of the process.
The expansion of opportunity.
Yes, the expansion of opportunity.
That's what it is.
You know, so
it means that a lot of infrastructure that will promote Braille writing and all that has been put in place. And of course, disability, people don't like that word anymore. They talk about being challenged, which empowers the mind. Being physically challenged should not spell an impediment or handicap in your quest for knowledge. You try to contextualize the person's physical and mental disposition.
That's what they call
and give them the
inclusivity.
Inclusive
governance. And again, it also, what I draw from it is, again, when we talk about political will, you know, to enforce change.
Yes.
It starts with one person. It shows that if we all, you know, did like Oloride, we could change our country. Yes. There will be widespread inclusivity in all aspects. So if we have an Oloride in every sector, yes, you know, doing things, you know, commendable, I don't think Nigerians will then...
If you have an Oloide, if you have a Marwa, if you have Zulum, you know, there are these my stars spread across the country.
Yes.
What Oloide first did was to show that government could realize funds from process of sales of, what do you call it? Yes, that was the first thing he did. They didn't know that money could come from JAMB. I mean...
All right, Chukwudi, we must let you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll see you tomorrow.
When I'm in this mood, it's always good to stop me. Very important.
Absolutely. And you are full of twists and turns. We didn't know you worked with NEPA. You're one of those.
I've done so many things.
Let's take a break.
Let's wish you a great day, Chukwudi.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthened in unity, we know they carry love. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The world needs mums. With a splash of Golden Terra oil, a mom can transform a frown into a smile. Change no thanks into yes please. Resolve family feuds without blowing a whistle. Providing tasty family meals is all that matters. Where there are moms, there is love. Golden Terra Oil, for pure love.
Introducing the new Jig Sachet. Whitening your whites has never been more affordable. Now you can keep whites shining brighter and disinfect by killing 99.9% of germs on your floors and other surfaces. Just jig it with Jig Sachet.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Ìjọba fún wa ní 75,000. NIN mi àti káàdì láti lọ gbà. Nígbà tí mo sì gbà, mo fi ṣe nǹkan tó dáa, mo ra oògùn nínú rẹ̀. Mo ra oúnjẹ tí màá jẹ nínú rẹ̀. Mo sì wọkọ̀ mi náà ń bẹ. A sì fi yòókù ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ ajé pé ká tó máa rí dé bá. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba wa òkè.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA. Our topic today, we'll be having conversation on emerging party politics. And recall, we touched on it last week, and we promised that we were going to look at it, with, of course, much wider guests. And so today, That will be our topic. Our number for you to be part of our conversation will soon be displayed. Don't forget to make your comments, your suggestions brief. Tell us your name and where you are sending your SMS from. Let's listen to the background report by our correspondent Ibrahim Belokunda.
The trend in Nigeria's political landscape is leaving observers and political commentators in amazement following a wave of defection from one party to another and a strive for alignment through coalition to form a formidable opposition that can lead to electoral victory. The defection of serving senators and House of Representatives members from opposition NNPP, PDP, Labour Party, among others, set tune for others in a move alleged to be ahead of 2027 general elections. Critics have already noted that any success from the coalition will rest on its ability to match and merge divergent interests. The leading opposition political party, the People's Democratic Party, is facing internal crisis due to fallout of 2023 general elections, leadership crisis and litigations, with some members of the PDP alleged to be aligning with the ruling party, APC, without leaving the PDP. The gale of defection that shook the nation's political landscape and attracted the attention of Nigerians is that of Delta State, sweeping through the PDP in the state with former governor and PDP vice presidential candidate during 2023 general election, Ifeanyi Okowa, defecting to the ruling APC. Others are the serving governor of Delta State, Governor Sharif, serving local government chairman, and the whole party structure in the state defected to the ruling APC. Political analysts are concerned about the bandwagon defection sweeping through the opposition parties and are questioning the place of political party ideology in Nigeria's political landscape. What is the place of political coalition in Nigeria's political landscape ahead of 2027? What does the wave of defections and realignment portray for the opposition and ruling APC? And what happens to party ideology in Nigeria's politics, looking at the ongoing wave of defections? These and more will set tune for discussion on the program, as our guests are already seated in the studio for the conversation.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Belogunda, for that background report on emerging party politics. Now, joining us here in the studio for that conversation, first let me introduce Dr. George Agbakahi, who is a public policy analyst and also the Southeast leader of the Tinubu Support Group, ILEN. A pleasure to welcome you.
Yeah, thank you very much. God bless.
Right, we also have here in the studio Dr. Abdulrahman Abu Hamisu, who is a political scientist. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Claire.
All right, we also have here with us Honorable Cletus Obun. He's a scholar, public affairs analyst, former parliamentarian, former Cross River State Chairman, Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, and a member 2023 APC Presidential Campaign Council Public Affairs Committee. And we're very glad to have Honorable Cletus Obun with us.
May God bless Nigeria.
I like that.
All right, let's begin the conversation. Let me start with Dr. George Agbakahi. And I would like to just ask, in your view, what's the frequency of defections in Nigeria, maybe say about the strength or, weakness of political party ideology or democracy? What does all of this mean?
Thank you again for having me. I believe political coalition and defections are characteristics of a democratic system. It's not new in Nigeria, and it's something that is related to overseas countries. I remember vividly President Donald Trump, who is a Republican, current president of America, was once a Democrat. He was a Democrat in 2001 and left the Democratic Party in 2009 after President Barack Obama was elected. Joe Lieberman, a Democrat, left the Democratic Party in 2006 and became an independent. But very recently, Senator Joe Manchin, a prominent Democratic senator, left the Democratic Party after the selection of Kamala Harris as the presidential candidate of the Democratic Party, you know, in 2023 or 2024. So that is what is happening. It is not new. You know, I'm very much concerned when people of other political parties are enraged that the Delta State governor, as well as the former vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar, had moved to the APC. You know, it is a natural phenomenon. It happens both in Nigeria and overseas. After all,
and of course, there will always be people on both sides, whether for and anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
There will be people who critique
even currently as we speak, the Labour Party candidate, governorship candidate in Enugu State, Chijioke Edoga, has recently joined the PDP.
Yeah, but what does it say about you know, ideology, party ideology? Does it show that the ideologies are, you know, just thinly divided?
You know, in Nigerian politics, I'm sorry to say there is a little bit less of ideology. It all depends on interest, both community interest and personal interest. And in my own opinion, I see the defection of the governorship of the current governor of Delta State, as well as the former vice president to APC. I see it as a strong validation, you know, and in fact, profound authentication of the renewed, you know, reforms, renewed agenda of the current administration. And also, I see it as a display, you know, of trust, you know, by the governor of Delta State in the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know, and this shows that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may win this election, even in a landslide, if it continues to go this way. Go to Kano State, NNPP stronghold. Very prominent senators, like Senator Shamala, is almost leaving, joining the APC. The only House of Rep member of NNPP in Jigawa State, the only one, I think Honorable Jamala also, he has left and joined APC. So that is what we are seeing.
Dr. Kwai, thank you. Let's put you on hold because you were here last time when we started this conversation. You talked about Lieberman, you know, who left in the U.S. and defections in the U.S. Also know that Lieberman left for an independent party. He didn't leave from
the Democrat as an independent.
As an independent to stand alone. And even those who left didn't join other parties, you know, and all that. So there's a difference between defections in the U.S. where you thought and what were happening. So let me start before we bring in Honorable Cletus, who's also a politician. Let me have Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu's perspective. Defection, as far as I became politically aware, has been part of our political, you know, culture. But what are your readings? Have we seen genuine interest, you know, on the part of politicians to realign for in the national interest, or are we just seeing defections for survival?
Well, I think in our own climb, mostly is defection for survival. It is always driven by mostly personal interest because the stakes in politics are so high, and you find a very brilliant surgeon leaving his callings to join politics. This is not peculiar to Nigeria, it's happening all over Africa. You see, the difference between Democrat and Republican is like what we have between Labour Party and Conservative Party in the United Kingdom. The Republican, as you know, they are tilted towards this white supremacy. the preservation of the privileges that slavery conferred on the white majority in America. And they are not willing to make sacrifices to better the poor. And the poor are the children and the great-grandchildren of the slaves. So whether we like it or not, there is disparity in terms of education, in terms of wealth, in terms of access, and so on and so forth. So Democrats naturally were a coalition of the deprived, the downtrodden, those that are sympathetic to their cause.
And those you call activists?
Yes, they're activists. But again, with time, this very particular distinction is blurring because of the aristocracy that has emerged within that very particular rank. So when you see somebody moving from Democratic Party to Republican, you know what that person stands for. Likewise, if there's a movement to the Democratic Party from Republican, you know what they stand for, because they are always pro-immigration, poor tax, not the one that Trump is doing now. So, but in our own case, we don't see that difference. In fact, the parties are not based on any ideology. We said PDP must go, and that we needed a change. And you know, in northern Nigeria, the way they put it, change dole, as in change by force, by fire. And then APC came on board. The same people we chased away in PDP returned to APC, and they were given appointment and the whole thing. So it's just like Animal Farm, when George Orwell was saying, at the end of the battle, we don't even know which is which, whether it is whether the animals have turned to human beings or human beings, because they chase away human beings that they are cruel and that they are wicked, and that the animals need to manage their own resources. But at the end of the day, the animals did worse to themselves than what human beings were doing to them, that they chased them out of the farm. So in this case, you find, because I see it as even a betrayal for somebody to defect after you convince people based on their reality to say they should vote you, and they vote you, and there is no any way you consulted these people, and all of a sudden it is announced that you defected. They gave you a mandate.
What is the difference between, in terms of value, between political realignment and defection?
You see, political,
because you say it's not realignment.
There is a thin line. There is a thin line, because the defections are both ways. There are those that are defecting, there are those that are joining the emerging coalition. There are those that are joining the ruling party. There are those that are, for instance, PDP made it clear that they are not into any coalition, they want to stand alone. So you have people that are defecting to PDP. Then you have people that are leaving PDP, Labour, and the ruling party to join the coalition. And those are the people that some of the APC sympathizers are saying that they lost out because the president never appointed them into his government, and that is why they are leaving the party to join the opposition, that is the emerging coalition. Now, defection simply means that you are given a mandate by your people under a political party to represent them, and then you decided to leave that party to another party with that mandate that was given to you under PDP or under APC or under Labour or under SDP. Now, realignment simply means that the elites have decided to work out another platform different from the ruling party and any other platform that they feel does not guarantee their interests. If you look at it, Senator Kwankwaso is still in ANPP, right? NNPP. Now, if you look at what happened, the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, was quick to go to SDP from APC. Now, with what happened in before 2015 election, politicians realized that if you are going into any coalition talk, you need to go under a party. And if you go under a party, you have the chance of being recognized, and the merger will take on board your interest. Because that was what happened between CPC, ACN, and when former governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, decided to join using the platform of ABGA. The leadership of ABGA dissociated themselves, saying that they are not part of any merger, they want to stand alone. And he joined as a person. So in terms of power sharing, what was given to ACN, the ACN bloc that Ashwaju led at that point in time, and the CPC that Muhammadu Buhari led, was more than what Rochas Okorocha got as a person, because he went as a person.
Was that a political alignment?
That is political alignment.
Okay, let me hold you. Honorable Cletus, what's your understanding? You know, defection, political alignment. What are you reading from what is happening?
I think there's a shuffling for political emancipation. Our democracy is evolving, but some people are making these transformations look like a transmogrification from the bad to the ugly. On the contrary, it's a refinement of our political system. If that didn't happen, 2015 wouldn't have happened. When it was happening in Ghana, you said it was a small democracy. But it's a deep-rooted democracy, Ghana. So when it came to Nigeria, and Ashwaju led us into that coalition between AD and ACD. AD contested the 1999 election. There was nothing like ACD. ACD was a new formation, because party formation is allowed at any time, any day before now. So ACD, Advanced Congress of Democrats, led by Alexis Anielo, who was SDP National Secretary in 1991-92, came into that coalition. So it's not a recent thing. So our evolution is, on the contrary, maturing, and we are seeing a deeper ideological positioning of Nigerian political class. It is a development that should be encouraged. But what we won't accept as Democrats is to drift to a one-party state. Nobody should delude you. I know Ashwaju. I have been part of the entire political permutation from 1999.
What's the ideology that is evolving? Because
one is that when ACD and AD came together, their ideology was welfarist. He was talking about the Democrats and the Republicans. We are quick to go and compare with America. That's over 200 years as a democracy. Those Democrats are talking about, it took them 101 years to produce their first president. The Labour Party in the UK, it took them nearly the same period for them to produce their first prime minister. So you can then know that democracy is not a turnkey technology. It's a process that goes through all kinds of things. So where we are now in Nigeria is that we are tinkering with all kinds of ideas. So when people move from one place to the other, because of our emotional attachment to certain political persons and personages and the cleavages of ethnicity and religion, we start drifting towards. When Ayade, for example, of Cross River State moved into 2022, the hoopla was not as much because he was not seen to be as popular. But in the South, the states of Delta, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, are the oil wells of Nigeria, the arteries upon which Nigeria's economy feeds. So a movement of those areas, a cough in those areas brings quakes and shivers to the Nigerian political class, because they know that for them to make anything in politics, they need the oil wells. So anything happening there affects the entire country. So that is why Delta is looking as if it is some anathema, some kind of, nobody is interested in take away that man from Delta State and put him in Jigawa. You won't hear this gale, this hoopla, this entire opera. It's about what will happen to PDP without the oil wells and oil money from Delta to sponsor elections in other states. That's all that is going on. Otherwise, politically speaking, democratically speaking, Nigeria is on the march to a consolidation of democracy, advancement of democratic ideas and ideology.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's get to the real issues. What does all of this, Dr. Bakari, mean for the electorate? Because we say democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So realignment, some say it's realignment, some say it's the campaign, some say a lot of, there are people on every side. But what does this mean for the ordinary people? Let's begin with Delta, for instance, because it's the most recent.
Well, even though we all see democracy as government of the people, by the people, for the people, in some ways, democracy also depends on the nature of struggle that exists in a particular society. And to me, that's what you see unfolding in Delta State. I remember hearing one of the spokespeople during the defection, former Senator Manager. He said that it's high time they stop following the sinking ship. If I quoted him correctly, Senator Manager said it. And the Delta State Commissioner for Works, who also made a statement, talked about development coming from the center. So,
was there no development coming from the center? Because if you say that, then you probably would be saying that when a party is not at the center, that their people are not taken care of. I don't think that's the case.
But generally speaking, in the Nigerian context, just like we have in other African nations, most states prefer to join the government at the center. This also happened during the Obasanjo regime. Have you forgotten that some parties like PPA, even in Imo State, when Ikedio Hakim won under PPA, that was founded by Ojo Zokalo, at some point they had to join PDP. Because,
a promise kept.
Yes, they joined PDP because they believe they will benefit from the center. It is not unusual. That is a natural phenomenon in Nigerian politics. And that was why Senator Manager made that statement, that they will benefit from the center, and that is the reality.
And of course, Senator Manager was the very first PDP state chairman in Delta. I think that was as of 1999. He went on to be senator, commissioner, and then... Yeah, but Dr. Balisu, what exactly does this mean for the ordinary people? Not for the politicians now.
Yes. Well, I want to say that the era of might translating to electoral victory gradually is dying down in Nigeria. If you look at the outcome of the last general elections, for instance, in Katsina State, it was a battle between the PDP and the APC. They were winning local government by local government. They shared the outcome, local government by local government. Because of one thing, there was no concrete alignment between what the elites are doing and what the masses want. In Nasarawa State, SDP won election. Ordinarily, if it were to be 1999 to 2007, it's going to be PDP all the way, whether they perform or not. So I think we are gradually moving away from incumbency, the politics of we're moving train. It's either you join us or we crush you. We are going to rule you for 60 years to performance. As of today, it is gratifying that even Mr. President is receiving the heat from the Southwest. His own people are protesting that we are suffering. These are things that you don't ordinarily see before. They will tell you, it is our son, you have to keep quiet. So if I'm from the north and a northerner is the president, however poor I am under that very particular administration, I am required to keep quiet because it's our turn. If it is an Ishakiri man that is the president, and an Ishakiri person is saying that, look, I am not finding it easy under this administration, you are required to keep quiet. Now, Nigerians are saying that the withdrawal of the subsidy, the increment in taxation, the insecurity, all of these are affecting us, irrespective of whether we're from the north or from the south. Now, I am saying that the most decisive factor in the next election will not be politics of defection by the elites because they are searching for greener pasture or they have interest to protect. The only interest ordinary Nigerians have to protect is their ability to feed themselves, feed their families, pay tuition in higher institution for their children, and equally pay school fees, affordable transportation. Now, the challenge is not even farming. The challenge is moving what is produced from the point of production to the market. For instance, a basket of tomatoes could be produced in Kankia local government in Katsina State for just 5,000. Transportation to either Onitsha or to Port Harcourt or to Lagos is about 40,000 naira, making it 45,000 naira. So by the time it gets to the market, it's going to cost like 50,000. This is something that ordinarily before the removal of the subsidy, you can get it for say 20,000 naira plus or minus. Now, these are the factors that people are weighing now. So the political realignment is something on one hand. Once you cannot connect it to the yearnings and aspirations of the people, I bet you nothing was going to work. And I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility. And this is one thing that I want the APC to note.
I like that you used the word political realignment because urban issue, you said there was no political realignment.
No.
Well, Dr. Hamisu Sabu,
I just said there was
it's a convert.
Yes. help us make sense if you were a chief executive in charge of a whole state and you belong to a particular political party, and your party appear to be in an position from the center or position with the center.
Yes.
And like in the words of Dr. George Abakai,
yes,
it is part of the sinking ship.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to your people.
Yes.
Would you still remain in that party?
You see, it's not about party per se. It's about the individual.
No, but it's also about connecting to the center to be able to access infrastructure, access resources for your people.
You see, Madam Claire, let us not confuse the wickedness of some politicians as a natural phenomenon. You see,
but assuming, that's a hypothetical scenario.
Yes, I want to make a comparison.
Because it is visible.
I want to make a comparison.
Yes.
You see, between 2003 to 2007, Sokoto State was not under PDP, that was under Bafarawa. And the road from Gusau to Sokoto State needed attention. And the federal government refused to do the road. You know what used to happen? The federal government will make sure that they suffocate you so that you don't perform like other states they are controlling. Meaning that next election, voters will rebel against you. That is a bad politics as far as I'm concerned. Now, Bafarawa did that road. Obasanjo refused to pay because it is a federal road needing attention. Now, fast forward, under President Muhammadu Buhari, Governor Wike was in the opposition and he used the state resources to develop the state. And President Muhammadu Buhari paid and thanked the River State government for doing the job that federal government ought to have done, for assisting federal government to do its job. I'm contrasting this to show you one thing, that because Obasanjo was playing this politics that he has just highlighted, so that others will now use it as a justification to align to the center, to say that we need to align because, look, it is a constitutional thing that you need to get social allocation. You need to get this, you need to get that. It's a constitutional thing. That the president is denying states that are in the opposition all of those things that they need to get It's an aberration. It's a breach of the constitution. But it's happening in Nigeria. But because it happened, we should not even see it as something normal. We should not see it as something that we need to make reference to as a positive thing. No. We have this.
Sorry, Jack. Let us even face it. Speaking specifically now about Delta State,
Yes.
even the Commissioner for Works, and who is also the Commissioner for Information, came out to say that, look, yes, we were in the opposition, but we have also seen the gestures made by the center in terms of infrastructure, in terms of, amenities and all that, that the center had extended, this to us. So, it is just to strengthen that,
Can I interject?
No,
Yes.
but the question is to me. I said something. I said it all depends on the person. In the sense that, for instance, federal government of Nigeria are taking about 6 dams to Kano State. The government of NNPP has not said it is moving. Now, if Delta State felt that, okay, they needed to align with the center, and they want to align with the center, so be it. But what I'm saying here is that the president using their power to deny people infrastructure simply because they belong to the opposition is wrong.
We have not seen
but
that.
that hasn't
They've
been-
not done
We
that
have not
now.
seen that.
No
We
president
can't
has
confirm
done that.
No, I said Obasanjo did it.
Hold on, hold
I
on.
gave the example of
Let me make this
Hold on.
Let me make
Yes.
this point.
Yes.
I think we are beginning to divert attention from the major issues here. The questions you have raised are very germane, and we have sufficient empirical evidence to show that the constitution have never been breached in that regard. Remember, when Tinubu came, Buhari came into office in 2015. What was his first step? Some states were owing for 18 months salaries to workers. What did he call it? Bailout. Did he select the state that were APC? Thank you. He gave to every single state.
Yeah.
Every single state money for bailout according to your need. I know some state governments that came out to say thank you. Even Wike you are talking about, it was not him that repaired those roads. It was his predecessor. In Cross River, it was the same. It was the predecessor that did those roads. Because when Buhari came in, he said they were inflating the roads project and the costings, and therefore stopped it. I said the government will go. And what they later did in the second tenure was to now say compensation has been an issue on construction of roads. So states, because those facilities are in your state, this infrastructure in your state, pay the compensation. That's why the Itu Road is a problem to Ikore Pene to Aba. Now, coming back to the present situation, under the Tinubu administration, we are doing the NEL fund, the student loan fund, popularly known. Which state has been excluded on account of the fact that it is not APC? None. In the distribution of reserves or the revenue accruing from the petroleum subsidy. Has any state been, in fact, no governor, and this is the tragedy of our democracy, that everybody is looking at the center. Should there be any excuse about center? When the Section 162 as amended is clear about what should be distributed to the states from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. It is clearly stated in the Constitution that it should be distributed equally to the states. Now, what is accruing from the petroleum subsidy removal is going straight to the states. And no state, the federal government and its information organs have consistently said, we have overloaded the state with so much fund. In fact, I remember my own governor immediately came into office. The first thing he did that every pregnant woman going to a hospital will go to hospital free. That WAEC fee will be paid to all students of Cross River, schooling in Cross River, no matter the state you come from, and all that. Accruing from this excess revenue coming to the states. And in fact, only yesterday, the governor of Akwa Ibom State was talking about what he has recovered from gully erosion in Akwa Ibom State. The land recovered is enough to feed Akwa Ibom State, and all that across the country. Why are citizens, and this is what I expect you, the academics, and those of you who are sitting also in the pulpits, to let our citizens know, citizenship responsibility in a democracy is fundamental. If government is of the people and for the people, what that means is that you must hold your elected and appointed officials accountable. What has happened, and which the media has to up its ante, is making citizens sit up to their responsibilities. You are being told that this is what your governor got this year, or this month. And it is on the website of the government, and you use your website to only talk about how Tinubu is not helping the economy, how APC is. Meanwhile, you have been told that from 1.2 billion, your state is now getting 2.5 billion. You are not asking your governor, what are you doing with this money? Local governments are to get a particular because 75% of our population is in the local government. Local government allocation in the past 15 years goes to the state on what they call JAC, Joint Allocation Account. And the state governors hold it and withhold it and give what they like to the state. Meanwhile, when the federal government asks that revenue accruing because it's not going to the local government should be shared on a certain ratio and should go directly, it took the federal government of Tinubu to go to court. Something local governments should do, something civil society organizations should do, SERAP and others should do. It took the president of Nigeria to go to court against his own subnationals to rescue local governments where the majority of the people stay. The people we are crying about, who should be questioning that? It's not happening. So I want the media, I want us sitting here, and I want all public interest people, all good citizens and patriots to insist that if 1/10 of what is going to the local government is given to them, what we are crying about now, he's talking about farming, he's talking about rural roads. I grew up meeting local government contractors becoming the richest men around the community and the vicinity and giving scholarships. Local government contractors, today, nobody does, not even a local government chairman can award a contract.
Thank you, Honorable Abu, but I think...
I want to ask a
yes,
question, please. Now, I quite agree with all you stated, that the Tinubu administration is not excluding anybody, any state, I mean, from all that they needed to get, which is my position. Now, why is the governor of Delta State defected?
That is what I want to come to.
They are not
that is what I'm coming
anything.
To. So I'm saying that it is never about coercion from the center. It is about the individual will, which is what I identified.
So no state should be telling us that it is because they want to benefit from the center.
I think that's what Dr. Hamid is saying. That's what I'm also saying.
That no state should tell us that it is because they want to benefit from the center.
Because the intention, because I'm giving you a second reason. The second reason is that you are being tried by EFCC. Another reason is that the federal government is squeezing people so that they can come and join. He tried to mention it between.
But this is what the government. This is what they say. When they defect, they say they want to benefit from the center. That's what they say.
No, I'm talking about the second tangent, the second leg of it, which is that they are being coerced because of EFCC.
No, gentlemen.
What I wanted to get clearly, I have not said Tinubu administration is doing that. Now, I didn't say that. I said that was the practice under PDP. And I gave example of Sokoto State. Yes. And I gave example of what Buhari came to do. And I said that is the right thing to do. No state should be denied anything on the account of that.
Yes. Wait, gentlemen, the point to me, apart from the benefits these states may be getting from the federal government,
yes,
it's also important to know some of the reasons for this defection to APC are clear. For example, the issue of lack of party cohesion in both PDP and Labour Party is very significant.
Yes.
Go to PDP as of today. They are still fighting for who becomes the national secretary of the party.
You are quite correct.
Go to Labour Party as of today.
Yes.
They are still fighting for who becomes the chairman of the party.
Yes.
They are in courts.
Yes.
That is why you see people defecting because of internal issues,
but the
internal conflicts in the party.
The defection is not one way.
It's not.
There are defections going all over the place. But gentlemen, what I would also like to ask is, because you use the word sinking ship to describe...
That's what they said. It's not, I didn't use that word. That's their word.
He referred
that's their word.
James Manager and echoed by you.
Yes.
Echoed by you, because if you don't believe in that, you won't echo it.
Yes.
That's what we say. So you're echoing the sinking ship. And I want to say that, does this mass defection make these other parties irrelevant now? Again, let's start from you, Honorable.
No. I have said it is healthy for Nigeria that we shouldn't drift to a one-party state. And I know that we'll consciously ensure that we don't have a one-party state. If that happens, Nigeria is in trouble.
Yeah.
So for me, what is happening now between realignment and defections, it is only a transformation and, for me, an evolution of part of our political evolution. I have told you here that the Labour Party in UK and the Democrats in America took over 100 years. In fact, they were called communists in America. and because of that, they were kept down. So in Nigeria, what we are doing, just barely 64 years. America is over 200 years. And you can see, only recently, you are naming about 3 persons only recently moving to become independent, others from Labour to Democrats, from Democrats to Republicans, and Republicans to... That is still happening in a 200-year-old democracy. And we all keep citing it as an example. If that is happening, what that tells you is that democracy is an ever-evolving phenomenon that should not be seen as a destination. At all times, humans must have to adapt to change and situations. And that in Nigeria, for me, is going on now. And we shouldn't be alarmed by it. We should rather encourage it. And if we didn't do that in 2015, we started in 2011 to do the coalition. Time was, according to the constitution, was not with us. So we left it for 2013. By the time we finished in 2013, the coalition came up and for the first time in Nigerian history, defeated in a national election the sitting government. I'm talking about APC, CPC, the formation of APC, came by this same method. If they can do so and come out, when PDP both said that to stay for 60 years, 100 years, APC shouldn't say the same thing. I am not, as an APC faithful, believing that APC should last forever. Nigeria must transform until we solidify into the two-party state that we advocated for SDP, NRC. We are drifting to that. Yeah. That's what all these alignments and realignments is going on. That's what all these defections is going on. But those who are permanent welfareists, socialists in their ideology have remained so. From Tinubu to Buhari, they have never drifted away from that ideological circle of AD to AC to APC. They've never gone to PDP.
I like
exactly. I like named it for you. I've named it for welfareist. It is a welfareist. That is why Nelfon came on. Remember that immediately they brought in the student loan from the southeast, tried to justify it and say, look, they were being excluded. They said, look at the applications. It was on the portal. You don't need to talk to anybody to get the loan.
Is this in the party's manifesto? Is
yes.
there a clear...
defined. In fact, Google it. It's on your phone by our manifesto. I was part of the campaign team, so I used it.
Yes.
We used it and said, we are going to make student loan fund available. Agric loan available.
Yes. I believe the people that are...
Okay. Dr. Amici.
Yes, I like what he said. If you are a student of evolution, what he said is quite correct. Society evolve, things evolve just like that. But again, there must be constant. He said it took the Democrat about 101 years to produce the first president. It is because they were consistent. They were not giving up, despite the odds. They were not defecting here and there because they did not.
The ideology was not fluid.
Yes, they did not. Because we are not winning, so we join the winning train so that we benefit. They kept that ideology alive. You see, let us be very honest with ourselves. Nigeria developed the most when we have 3 dominant parties at the region. The Southwest, that is the beacon of education today, was perpetually in the opposition. They rely on themselves and their people to develop themselves. They never take the easy way that some persons are taking today in the name of they want to benefit from the center. The Mbadues, how did they do it? They never say they want to benefit from the center. They rely on themselves. They believe in a certain ideology. The Igbos believe in contributing money to send themselves to school. They were not dependent on government. The apprenticeship system is still subsisting. So how do they do it? Is by relying on themselves that they can do it. So the second issue that we need to look at carefully is this. As you said, the people that have changed the society are people that are consistent, that kept the banner of the struggle alive. Not those that chicken out on the road to success. It pains me that we are a people that we don't like making the dinner, but we always love to come to the dinner table and to start condemning the cook that there is too much salt, this is not the... Look, if you really want to build, and that is why I respect people like Senator Musa Akonkoso. The current president, I respect him because of what? There are people that took the opposite path and they midwife it and nurtured it. Without that, we will not even have the change we are asking for. But APC was successful not because of the merger. APC was successful because the coalition aligned their slogan and their struggle with the interests of Nigerians that wanted PDP out at all costs. So we're not even asking critical questions. We wanted PDP out, and APC was the alternative. And I tell you this, we should write it down. If the emerging coalition is able to align their struggle with what Nigerians are looking for, I bet you APC is on its way out. If APC is able to realign and reconnect with the yearnings and aspirations of the people as it is now, I bet you
it will be entrenched.
It will be entrenched.
Thank you, Dr. Abu
Let's
Hamisi.
yes.
I wanted him.
Let him respond to. He wanted to
respond.
I believe the postulation of one-party state by certain elements, in Nigerian politics is prosperous. Look at what is happening. When El-Rufai, a major player in APC, joined SDP and was rallying with Atiku and some other players to form a coalition to unseat the current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, nobody was shouting. Everybody was quiet. But now, a major player in PDP is defecting to APC, and there is uproar everywhere. And it's now going to be a one-party state. See, it's not going to be a one-party state. See, President Tinubu is doing well so far, and he's going to win this election based on his accomplishment. I heard you pretty well when you said that the next election in 2027 will be predicated on stomach infrastructure.
No, I didn't say
No, he didn't use that word.
No, you said that. No.
No.
You said that the election will definitely be based on how people will be feeding themselves. Is it not what you said?
No. I said that people are complaining that they are suffering under this government because
okay,
of
now
policies.
let me finish. No, I've had that. No, I've had you say that. Yes. Okay, now people are complaining.
Yes.
That things are hard.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But let me tell you this. Mind you, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board, yes, and obliterated, the exchange rate to single exchange rate, as well as the removal of the oil subsidy.
Yes.
We all know in Nigeria that removal of this subsidy and extrication of the exchange rate should have been done since 1999. Obasanjo knew very well, Yar'Adua knew, President Jonathan knew, but they didn't have the courage to do this. Now, President Tinubu came on board and had the courage to remove all these subsidies that were being benefited by few members of our society. When the subsidy was in play, it was only few Nigerians that were benefiting. Now he came on board and removed this. And he has, yes.
Yes, sorry. I have to interject. I'm sorry, gentlemen, because this is not a conversation about one person or one party.
Yeah.
This is a conversation about emerging party politics.
Yes.
So we must expand the conversation away from one political party. Yes. But we've got some messages, and I'd like to take this one from Francis Luca. And Francis has sent in this message from Jos. He says, defection is not a new thing in this country. The leadership is in cycle. We revolve around same axis. True change can only come when this cycle is gone, and this can be possible if citizens understand that we are the power and we use it to better ourselves as a whole. Alamba Francis Luca from Jos. And the OC from Abakaliki says, it's greed and insatiability that make our leaders to defect from parties that gave them mandates to represent them. Truly, they are not doing well. My name is Magun Abednego from Jos Plateau State. The issue of defection at hand in Nigerian politics today is as a result of crises that linger for long without solution. You should expect members will defect to peaceful parties and where their interests will be respected. Now, finally, from me, Joseph Ekezwe from Delta. The idea of defection is not for the state to benefit from federal, Rather, it's for their personal and political interest and nothing more. I know you have some more.
Well, I know most of the issues we have addressed earlier on in the
I
program.
think you should read them.
Muhammad Awal Musa Afamai from Kano says, what happens to political party ideology in Nigeria? And he says, good morning, Nigeria. My name is Michael from Abakaliki. In developed countries, defection is about ideology, but in Nigeria, defection is about the stomach. Okay? And the truth is that Nigerian politicians do defect to the party of the day because of personal gains and selfish interests, no name. And finally, God bless you for speaking to the truth, Dr. Abu. You are on the right track of the view by not being biased. Well, I don't know, no name too.
Well, can I make a point?
That's anonymous.
Let me make the point here. We must be good students.
You will do that. We need to take a break. We need to pay. Yes. So please don't go away. This is Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be right back.
Nigerian national flag represents our country's history, culture, and identity. It was designed in 1959. The colors are Emerald Green 2.0, which represents agriculture, and Immaculate White represents unity and peace. Know how to handle our flag. Illuminate the environment or don't fly the flag overnight. Do not fly a dirty or tattered flag. Take such flag to the nearest National Orientation Agency office for proper disposal and replacement. The national flag can only be flown at half-mast on the directive of the federal government. The national flag must be flown at the same or higher height when displayed alongside other flags. Don't burn or allow the national flag to fall on the ground. Do not print, decorate, modify, or insert the coat of arms on the flag. Our national heroes are not buried with the flag. They are honored by presenting it to their next of kin during interment. Respect our national flag. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
The business environment, to be honest with you, has been extremely hard on most Nigerian women's businesses, and of course harsh for a number of reasons. There is no way you would increase or move subsidy and increase the price of fuel that it doesn't have the counter effect. It has been very challenging for so many women. I know that a lot of them have cried in one way or the other to us to find ways of intervening. But that is not to say that it is all doom and gloom. We will still have a few percentage of women that are thriving in this economy, but we hope that we'll be able to get a larger percentage. One of the things I've seen with even our local purchases now is that people are buying more made in Nigerian options of food, of clothing, and so on and so forth, than the imported. So that again is helping some of our industries thrive. Surprisingly, the telecommunications is still doing well, and the reason is very simple. A lot of people are going for online options of skills in terms of training, communications, even remote working. And so you will see that people that provide services around those areas also thrive. But I think at the end of the day, it's about partnerships, collaboration, and influencing power from especially the private sector and even the public sector. But we really need the public sector to drive a number of things, especially policies, because the public sector has the national spread above even whatever we can do in our own small way. What has happened over the years is that even the government, for example, is being pulled from different angles by all these stakeholders. We need to harness ourselves to have strategic focus areas, and we should all be moving in the same direction, not using a competitive approach, but a collaborative approach. Secondly, in collaboration, we need to move with large clusters of decision makers. Instead of, the process of reaching out to individuals is painstakingly long and it takes time. And so we need to engage these stakeholders on a larger platform. I think it's very important to identify where you can get help in your own little way. And one of the things I've realized is that when you operate in silo, it is difficult for you to lift yourself out of the situation. Identify ways you can do what you are doing in a simpler way. And if what you are doing is no more profitable, why not find out what can you do in the meantime that will help you? You need to think outside the box and then connect. What you can do is also identify people and become a cluster to provide a service that ordinarily you cannot do alone.
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Nigeria, and we're looking at emerging party politics. Before we went on break, Honorable Cletus Obum was about to speak. You have the floor now, Honorable.
Yeah, because thoughts of this nature, I want us to get back to our political history and get the records straight so that we can analyze them. It is not about knowing the fact, it is about interpreting them in context. Between 1999 and today, defections have occurred in and out of ruling parties. We're just talking about Nasir El-Rufai now. What will you say is his reason? Greener pasture in SDP? Is he looking for greener pasture? When people talk about smart infrastructure, it's about this. They do not put things in context. People have ideological standing. They have convictions. They have interests to protect. Just that when we talk at the national stage, we're dealing with national interest. But people who take personal interest and interpret it as national interest, at other times we take national interest even to a personal level to which they can make sacrifices. So you find people like El-Rufai, the first beneficiary of the coalition of APC. Most of those who benefited from the coalition in 2015 became governors for 8 years and turn around to say they didn't benefit and therefore that's a reason for them to leave. At that point, and they are not leaving opposition to APC. They are leaving APC, a sitting government, to another party. Will you also say stomach infrastructure? No. Two, you come back to the issue of those who have been consistent or not consistent and in Nigeria people jump ship. At all times between 1991, SDP and NRC, till today when you say there's no ideology, it's not true. It is that the dilution and the quantum and the statistics of those who have been consistent is so little. So we don't find it. It is only growing now because people like Tinubu have been thrown up. Between 1991 and today, they've never shifted from that ideological bent of welfarism, of expanding the democratic space.
Can you give us an example of those that you have mentioned that have defected from one party to the other, that things have changed for the better?
Yes. Lagos. Tinubu has been consistent with developing a welfare society, and Lagos is a perfect and classic example of how to develop a democracy. Because
but President Tinubu never defected.
This is the point I'm saying.
She's
that
talking
people
of defection.
Yes, I'm talking about those who have defected and things became better. I look at Cross River, for example. The governor of Cross River State, a sitting governor, left PDP to APC. Ever since then, our state politics, the violence in Cross River State nosedived. Between Calabar South, a Etum local government and others, the violence there was so heavy. Our infrastructure was so horrible that what we didn't have was a roadmap for development. What we got now, as we say, you can see our present governor now going back to what he didn't do as a PDP governor, Amin Ayade, and now the present governor.
Would that mean that the federal government is now giving him more money, or the federal government is building the roads for Cross River State?
Again, you are going back to the very issue we talked about. That you shouldn't be giving us the excuse that it's because you now feel.
But you are saying things have become better simply because
of the persons and the individuals that are operating within. You say, how did the situation improve? And I'm showing you how it has improved. A combination of the national forces and the state forces. No matter what is given, I've given you an example now, how people get money from the federal government.
That's one state.
I'm not even using it. I'll give you others now. You say we should give you an example. I'm giving you one. It is no longer convenient. I'll give you a second one. The second one is Benue State. Akume left a sitting governor of Benue State to ACN, I was part of those who received him. And from that day till today, Benue State has never been the same. Third, if you want a third one, I'll give you.
In what regards do you say Benue State has not been the same?
One, their political stability. Let me tell you, if there's no political stability, there will be no development.
Is there really stability? Is there really political stability in Benue?
Presently. I'm not talking about insecurity now. You are dealing with a different matter completely, which is external to the government. It's external to the government. It's not within their purview to control state security. As chief security officers, you are still beholden to even the commissioner of police, not to talk about the IG. That is not where we're discussing. That's another matter. What I'm discussing here is that defections, in some circumstances, have improved the condition of the people. At another level, it has become an albatross for the community.
All right.
So it is not a one-way traffic.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable. Dr. Amisu, now let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah. Let's not pretend that this whole thing is not about 2027. Yeah. Let's not pretend. Yeah. So in what ways will this realignment, I think we can use that word now, yes. How is it likely to impact the 2027 election? Now, what I listened to Honorable Obu talking about, you know, how the states have become better, and I look at Delta because I have a fair understanding of Delta. I have worked in Delta, so I look at the pie has become smaller because everybody is now put together. Those who left PDP for the APC left it because, well, they needed to get something that they weren't getting here. Yeah. And now the state government has not grown bigger. It is still the same state government. How all the interests are going to be satisfied such that everybody is peaceful and quiet is something you will need to, you know, look out for. But how does all of this impact the 2027 election?
Well, let me use the opportunity to advise Mr. President and those around him. I hope they will not make the same mistake the handlers of President Jonathan made. You see, Gandhi said, truth, in fact, used to go through 3 different stages. First, it is scorned and laughed at. The second, it is ignored. The second stage, it is ignored that it doesn't exist. Don't worry. And before you realize it, it becomes a tiger. Then you fight it. But by then it will be too late. You know, people are talking. People are saying we are not finding it easy. And we are celebrating defection of people that even in their own constituencies, they may not win the election. Now, what that will do for the emerging coalition, because they are waiting, as you said, the stake is getting higher and the pie is getting smaller. So they will shape out. And naturally, the emerging coalition will vest those interests that they are not able to take care of. And before you know it, the coalition will be expanding. And before you know it, the same template that APC used to dethrone PDP will be the same thing that will be used. And I said something. APC capitalize on the moment and start speaking the language of Nigerians, positioning itself as a savior of Nigerians. And then Nigerians agree with them. But they needed to weaken PDP the most. And that is when the 5 governors defected and put a nail through the coffin because of what you said. So if Mr. President is a student of history and those around him are students of history, they should know that naturally people will come together. Those that are aggrieved, those that genuinely want to salvage the country, those that feel they were betrayed, those that felt that they were stabbed at the back will all come together. As you said, naturally this will happen in a democracy and nobody can stop it. But to pretend that this is not happening and that it's not about 2027, that it is about because we lost out or because of this or because we hate or that South must continue or the North must take over. Look, that is not the issue. The issue
is there even any hope for this consolidation that you talk about,
yes,
given that consolidation talks among opposition parties have consistently failed.
Yes.
Do we see any hope for the emergence of probably any third force that could probably capitalize on the issues that you have raised?
Yes.
Okay, in my own view, the current coalition that is ongoing wants to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The APC.
Yes. To me, it is not working. El-Rufai, Atiku, they are making frantic efforts to build a coalition. But unfortunately, it is not working so far. But the significance of these defections in Delta is enormous. Mind you, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was able to get close to about 40-something to 50% of the northern votes in the last election.
Why do you think that the coalition talks between the SDP and Atiku is not working? What gives you? You are not a member of that party. You are not a member of that party. You are not a member of that coalition. So how do you know that it is not working?
Well, it is based on the fact that, mind you, the top political players, El-Rufai has approached to join the coalition, are not joining. Saraki said it openly that he's not joining.
That they will rebuild the PDP.
Yes, exactly. And no. The truth is this: even if the Northern Coalition gets into play, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and APC are making very significant incursion in the South-South and the Southeast, and of course the North Central, then there is a problem for El-Rufai and Atiku. And you know, this lack of internal cohesion in PDP is a critical factor. Let's just be clear. Let's be very clear about this. PDP is like a failed party. So long as Wike is there controlling the party apparatus, Wike controls the chairman of the party, Wike controls the national secretary of the party. Mind you, in PDP currently, the board of trustees, which is supposed to be the soul of the party, they are divided. Some are siding Wike, some are siding Atiku.
Yes,
so that's the problem.
How do you know all of this?
Yes, how do you mean as long as Wike is there controlling? Can you be specific? Can you come out so that we understand?
What I mean is this. It is common knowledge that in PDP today, the two major actors are Atiku Abubakar and FCT Minister Wike. They are the two actors. Both of them are controlling what is going on in PDP. That is the reality. That is why Atiku and his co-actors wants to extricate the chairman of the party. Even to the extent that Wabara, who is the board of trustee chairman, is also trying to side them. But up till today, they've not been able to remove the chairman of the party. They've not been able to remove the national secretary of the party. So the reality is that Wike is a very strong person in PDP. That is the truth. Just very recently, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, 9 members of the Rivers State House of the National Assembly from Rivers State, they've all joined APC. So that is what you see happening. The permutations have changed considerably in the 2027 election. So if El-Rufai and Atiku are able to form a coalition and APC is entrenched in the South-South, Southeast, and North Central, APC may still win the presidency without getting majority of the vote in the Northwest.
So in essence, PDP is unable to reinvent itself.
That is exactly what is happening. Look at it. Okay, go. They have a meeting today. PDP has a meeting. PDP has a meeting today.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
Anyam will say he's going.
Yes, sorry.
Today, say he's going. Let
sorry.
me tell you this. Yes. We are dealing with parties, politics, and our own present situation in Nigeria. Yeah. And let me give you this. Peacock, it was Peacock, a poet and philosopher of the 17th century, said that human circles move in 3 stages. It begins as brass, graduates to silver, and then comes as gold, and then returns to brass. The reason is because you must reach your apogee, the height of your own career or whatever, and decompose back for you to reinvent yourself. PDP is at the point of decomposition. So to reinvent itself is not something it does in 8 years after leaving office of 16 years. So also I'm warning, which is the warning he gave. APC should not delude itself that it will stay forever. The forces, the centrifugal and centripetal forces that attenuate every political system is going to affect APC as it moves on. So the only thing it can do is to learn the lessons of the heroes past, which is what PDP suffered. The arrogance of power. Of thinking that when you marry a new wife, you must disgrace the old wife, which is something that APC is fond of doing. Its reward system, the maintenance of those who built the pillars of the party at the beginning, is going to be one of its biggest albatross in the formation and in the years to come. In a situation in which foundation members are ignored, and the new members are treated as new wives who should be treated as the best that can happen to them. Yeah. So PDP did it, got lost. APC is starting the same process, and this is, I'm a member, I'm a foundation member of APC, so I can speak audaciously to anybody. My life does not depend on partisan politics. I'm not a traditional politician, I'm an academic. So I can return to any university in the world to teach. So what I'm saying to APC today, as a foundation member, I've been a parliamentarian, not under APC. It was in 1999. So APC didn't make me. I made APC. So I'm trying to make the point that APC, all political parties, PDP is going through it. SDP and Labour Party are even putting themselves in a more devastating position, because before they can even take the first step, they're already deteriorating.
Let us look at NNPP.
NNPP.
Yes. Has it also picked?
ABGA.
Has it also picked?
Pardon?
Has it also picked? Has it also?
No, it has not started. Now SDP, they are in the same class.
Yes, and the Kwankwaso factor.
Yes. You see, we used to say it politically that for every presidential election, if you want to win an election, 3 states are very key. Though others are key, but where you have the largest population, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano. If you win these 3 states in terms of population, all you need is just the spread. And that was why the contestation was brutal in these 3 states. You remember what happened between Labour and APC in Lagos State, to the extent that masquerade were even involved in the voting. In Port Harcourt, you saw the massive
Rivers.
In Rivers, I mean, you saw what happened there. In Kano, the previous election was inconclusive, and the Konkoso movement, that is Konkosia, convinced themselves, just the way the blacks were doing, because they know they will rig them during Boxing days, those days, during Muhammad Ali. They give you knockout so that there will be no room for rigging. So they went back, re-strategized, and they ensure that, okay, though we know the politics that happened there, but ANPP is still holding forth, and they are still... NNPP, sorry, I don't know why I'm stuck in 1999.
Okay, just because we have just a few minutes.
So, yeah, the permutation is on. But as I rightly pointed out, before 2015, nobody ever believed that Atiku would join the coalition of President Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Tinubu. Nobody even gave them a chance that Muhammadu Buhari and Bola Tinubu from Southwest and from Daura can work together. But before we knew it, most of the persons that you think will not join that coalition because of one grievances or the other. Now, if the rumor is anything to go by, the CPC bloc, some of them are threatening to break away because they are not rewarded. They felt that people that were outside when the party was being formed are the people that this government has rewarded. Now, if interest is key, I tell you, politicians don't give a damn. They follow their interest. And if they feel that is in the coalition, they will go for it. If Konkoso decides to join
exactly, I was coming to that. If he decides to defect,
yes,
will that spring up another...
To join APC today, I will not be surprised. You know why? Because if people like El-Rufai were in APC before, and let's say after the completion of Mr. President 8 years, perhaps if he wins in 2027, then the next presidency will come from the north, right? Now, if he decides to join, then we will say, okay, he's projecting, he wants to join, so that by the time Mr. President will complete his term, he will naturally be in a position to aspire under APC, because he feels that he will get close to the presidency through APC. That President Tinubu did the same thing. If President Tinubu had not been consistent and coming into that coalition, there was never a time he was going to become the president of Nigeria through PDP. But he feels he can achieve it through APC. And he was patient for 8 years. And he was able to do that. So, no, I'm talking about when the coalition won election in 2015. So he was patient.
Dr. Walker, we'll take you just 60 seconds, yes, before we take over.
On a personal note, I believe this coalition succeeding is ill-conceived. Is ill-conceived. I don't think that Kwankwaso will join the PDP. If you consider the political reality in Kano State, some of these House of Rep members, they have 18 House of Rep members in NNPP. Few of them have already joined APC. They have 2 senators, NNPP, in Kano. One of them has joined APC. And like I said earlier, the only House of Rep member in Jigawa, NNPP, has joined APC. So I think...
Don't forget that Kwankwaso came second to Buhari in the 2015 primaries in Lagos. I voted.
The point Dr. made, which I believe is a valid point, Kwankwaso at some point would want to be the president of this country. And he can become the president of this country through an APC platform.
Really?
And not a PDP platform. Yes.
Why not? Why not?
No, if you check the political reality.
PDP is almost
if you check the political reality.
Unfortunately, we're
not out of hate. Yes. Not out of hate, but the reality. Yeah. The permutation of gun don't favor PDP to resurrect.
Victor, we have...
The result of PDP will be
I have wanted, because if we have done all of this without, prescribing some form of reforms, we look to make the political system better. Yeah. So let me take a moment to ask Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu.
Before you do that, Victor, let's quickly take the last set of this. Okay, I'll just start with David Patrick Kaduna. He said, your topic quite exciting. Regards to Dr. Abu for his sincere expressions. My name is Abu Danjuma Ihenuma, the Nigeria politician. Like the followers don't have ideology, whether in personal life or public life. And that's why Mr. A can be in PDP in the morning and an APC in the evening. May God protect and help Nigeria. Now, Ifeanyi Abakaleke from Ebonyi State says, politicians migrating to ruling party are doing so for selfish and greedy reasons. They don't have the interests of the masses at heart. And finally, Emmanuel from Onitsha, defection will not change the mind of the electorate. Victor.
All right, I think the issues they are raising are almost the same. My name is Ejiogu Vitus Chibueze from Isu Oro, Imo State. I want to say that our democracy stands at a critical crossroads. In recent times, we have witnessed a disturbing trend, the unrelenting wave of defections by politicians from opposition parties to the ruling All Progressives Congress. Now, these defections are not driven by ideology, conviction, or a genuine desire to serve the people better. Another one from Niger Uzmeri. Party alliance is a selfish interest of our leaders, a means of deception. Again, going by what is happening now in Nigeria, our leaders are after their interest. Dr. Amisu, you truly understand the nature of merging in the country. The interest of the individual, not for the people. God bless you. And finally, the problem I have with those defectors is that when the table will now be turned to PDP again, they will defect again and they say they have come back to their home. That's from Hajia from Edo State. I had wanted to ask Dr. Hamisu if you could prescribe 2, let's say, reforms to our party politics, party structure, to stem the tide of defections, incessant defections, and to develop our democracy and the country. What would it be?
What I would choose to say is to advise that political parties across board make it a mandatory obligation that if you defect to any party, you should be on the waiting list for 5 years before you contest any election.
What of appointments?
Even appointment. Even appointment. Because let it be a learning period. Either, if not 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, so that we can observe you. So that it will not be, and that is what is tearing our parties apart, you know. But if you want to contest election, we are not stopping you from political alignment and realignment.
I disagree with Doctor.
We are overshooting. You just have 30 seconds.
I disagree with Doctor. I don't think there is anything wrong with political defection. It happens everywhere in the world.
Okay.
I said it earlier that President Trump was once a Democrat.
I said
but he's a Republican
president.
happens
in our country. We must be truthful.
I'm sorry. We don't have much time. Victor.
Well, we have to let our guests go. Let me begin by thanking Dr. George Abakahi, who is a public policy analyst, as well as the Southeast leader of the Tinubu support group. We thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me also thank Dr. Abdurrahman Abu Hamisu, an academic and a political analyst. We thank you very much for coming. And finally, but by no means the least, Honorable Cletus Obun, who is a scholar, environmental activist, public affairs analyst, former parliamentarian, former Cross River State chairman, ACN, and many other caps that he wears. We thank you very much for bringing your experience to bear on our conversation.
But none on set. He doesn't have
May we have a banner that without stain.
But that's been Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you so very much for watching. Well, let's do this again tomorrow, and I'll see you then. I am Victor Azo.
Bye-bye.